You're listening to I Love This TV Show, The Golden Girls.
The Golden Girls, Season 3, Episode 17, My Brother, My Father. Original air date, February 6th, 1988. In this episode, Blanche and Rose come in the kitchen to find Sophia making her special lasagna. She gives them each a taste. Dorothy joins them and asks how the tryouts for the play went. Blanche and Rose are nuns. Dorothy asks what occasion Sophia is making her lasagna for. The doorbell rings. It's Stan. Sophia invited him over for dinner. Dorothy demands answers of Sophia. She needs a favor. Her brother Angelo is coming to visit and wants to wish them a happy 40th wedding anniversary. She wants them to pretend to be married still for that one day. Dorothy refuses. She decides to cooperate when Sophia threatens to invite Stan to dinner every night until she dies. Later, Blanche and Rose are running lines for The Sound of Music. They shout about Nazis and Sophia freaks out. The two head off to their practice. Stan arrives. He quickly annoys Dorothy. Angelo arrives. He greets everyone. The tension rises quickly. Angelo is confused by the quips Stan and Dorothy are shooting at each other. Sophia and Dorothy go in the kitchen. Angelo follows with lots of kind words. As the day continues, tensions rise. Blanche and Rose arrive home in their nun costumes. They were forced to come back in costume due to the hurricane. The two pretend to be nuns collecting lingerie. Blanche begins to tell a story about a hurricane when she was married, but quickly spins it. Stan doesn't help. Dorothy and Stan start to fight. Sophia tries to distract them all. Everyone heads to bed, and Stan gets the couch. That night, Angelo goes to Dorothy and asks her to make up with Stan. Now the two have another fight. They remember the first time she kicked him out of bed. He sings to her. Sophia comes running in and sleeps between them. Everyone gathers in the kitchen the next morning. Angelo points out it's their 40th anniversary. Rose tells a story about how her parents renewed their wedding vows. Stan wants to, and Dorothy doesn't want to. Stan begs her to marry him again. Angelo admits that he's not a priest. He never became a priest. It turns out he got married instead. Dorothy tells him she and Stan are divorced. Angelo is thrilled. Rose and Blanche confess that they aren't nuns. Sophia makes Angelo breakfast and brings him up to speed. Blanche goes to her boyfriend's house dressed as a nun. Rose goes outside to try and get airborne in her costume. Stan walks to the door. Sophia gives him the money as promised, but he refuses and gives it back. Favorite quotes. Dorothy. The only time you make lasagna al forno is for funerals and favors. And you're not wearing black, so what do you want? Stan. Hello, Mama Bear. Papa Bear is back in the cave. Dorothy. I could vomit just looking at you. Dorothy. Stanley, you're a pig in a cheap suit. Sophia. Shut up and play ball, you yuts. Stan. Where am I supposed to sleep? Dorothy. On the floor, like any dog. Sophia. Pull yourself together, pussycat. Gershwin confused a lot of people. This episode is one lie after another lie. But it's a funny episode. Blanche and Rose are trying out for play, The Sound of Music, the musical that they want to be in. And normally Blanche sleeps with the director and gets one of the bigger roles, but this time she can't do that. So she and Rose are playing nuns. Nuns are still an integral role, in a very important part in The Sound of Music, but Blanche is just never happy unless she has the lead, as well we know. But Sophia is making her bribery and funeral lasagna al forno. And this instantly makes Dorothy suspicious. Blanche and Rose are just excited they get to eat some, but yeah, it's a big bribe. A big bribe slash favor slap. Oh my goodness. Because Sophia's brother, Angelo, is coming to town. He's a priest. They believe he's a priest. He was supposed to become a priest, at least, and he wants to celebrate Stan and Dorothy's 40th wedding anniversary. And this is just, oof, they've been divorced ages. They hate each other's guts. They can't even, Dorothy particularly, can't even be in the room with him for 10 minutes without nearly killing him. So I don't know how Sophia ever thought this was going to go well. But they wind up agreeing, and it is very, very rocky. Because Dorothy still can't stand the sight of him, and she just keeps basically growling at him over and over and over again. Which, kind of makes sense. He cheated on her, and he was not good. But yeah, as they continue to do this farce, this pretending thing, a hurricane hits Miami. And so instead of it being one day, it turns into several. Blanche and Rose are forced to come home still wearing their nun outfit. And Angelo's like, whoa, what? Because he's wearing his priest outfit, even though he's not a priest, but he's dressed like one. They're not nuns, but they're dressed like one. And so that just becomes rather dicey. And Stan and Dorothy, as this day is just going on and on and on. Dorothy is just getting more and more angry. And Stan, shockingly enough, actually kind of stands up to her here and there. But it just continues to be this crazy back and forth. Finally, the truth comes out, but it's just, Angelo. He's just simply Angelo. He did not become a priest. I wonder how many sins it is to pretend you're a priest for your sister. That's a good question. And it's one thing if you dress up in a Halloween costume, but it's a whole nother ballgame that you're just flat out impersonating a priest. I'm thinking that's probably worse than impersonating a cop or an FBI agent in the eyes of God. And yeah, it turns out that he didn't keep the promise to his mom on her deathbed, but Sophia didn't either. They all just said what they said to make the mother happy as she was dying, which kind of makes sense. But Angelo actually got married, and he goes into great detail about how he's a butt man. He's a butt man. And yeah. So when they finally tell the truth to Angelo that Sophia and Dorothy, oh boy, no, not Sophia and Dorothy, but Stan and Dorothy. Sophia is the one, I think. And he is thrilled that they're divorced because he hates Stan. I mean, who doesn't hate Stan? He's just a royal jerk. Very selfish, very egotistical, very self-centered. Not really someone you want to be married to. But at the end, when he leaves, he does do a nice thing, and he does not charge Sophia or take the money that she had promised him. But for me, the most interesting part of this episode is when Rose is telling the story about renewing the vows, and Dorothy and Stan go out in the living room, and he's begging her to remarry him, to give him another chance. And this has happened in other episodes too. This happens in season 1 when Chrissy dumps him after they sell the swampland, and they actually later in the series again reconnect and are even about to walk down the aisle when she finally grows some brains again and is like, nope, this isn't gonna happen. I mean, there's multiple times where they do reconnect. 5 or 6 times, I think, throughout the whole series. Or maybe there's one reconnection per season. I'll have to reanalyze that. But it's interesting because they're divorced and supposedly she hates him. But for feeling that way, she does wind up in bed with him quite a lot throughout the whole series. And if he's that bad in bed, I'm not quite sure why she would so willingly fall back into bed with him. Because she's constantly making quips about how bad he was in bed. In season 1, she mentions how Chrissy didn't teach him a thing after they had that little reconnection. And so it is just quite interesting. I don't know if maybe it's just habit or something of that nature, or just a general weakness for Stan, which makes no sense to me, but I guess it does to Dorothy, and so boom, it just randomly happens. But at least he leaves, and Dorothy and he do not get back together in any real capacity in this episode. Sophia, though, she set this whole thing in motion. All of the struggle, the stress, the strife, the upset for Dorothy, and then brushes it off at the end with her quote about Gershwin confused a lot of people. I mean, there's clearly still some feelings there on both Stan's part and Dorothy's part. And throughout the whole 7 seasons, even through Golden Palace, Stan is always professing his love for Dorothy. She never truly takes him back, though. She always comes to her senses just before she makes a permanent and lasting mistake. Thanks for tuning in to the I Love This TV Show podcast. If you would like to make a donation in support of this podcast, you can through Cash App to Pasta26MC. That's pasta like the food, the number 2, the number 6, M as in monkey, C as in cat. If you would like to sponsor this podcast or advertise on it, please send an email to podcast@pastasworld.com. As always, you can go to pastasworld.com for more information.